but different administrations across party have also tried to send various messages abroad. You're saying here that the alleged sort of purpose was cruelty to send a message.
Yeah, don't take it from me. Take it from the Republican-appointed federal judge in the Southern District of California, Dana Sabra, who stopped the policy. He said it was one of the most shameful chapters in the history of our country. This is in the Miss L versus ICE lawsuit that ultimately stopped the family separation policy. And I think what Errol Morris, the legendary Oscar-winning director who's filmed this, really is, and I'm honored to be a part of it, and I'm so grateful to all of our colleagues at NBC News Studios and MSNBC Films for getting behind this in such an amazing way, is it's both a look back at that cruelty, which he documents in meticulous detail. You see it in emails across the screen throughout the entire movie, that the cruelty, as Adam Serwer coined in the Atlantic at the time, when I reported on this in the field, when you were reporting on this very broadcast, it was the point.
Yeah. I've got a little more from it, and you mentioned the work you're doing with it, so let's take another look from the doc.
We'd run out of beds for babies. We were seeing so many babies, but the babies can't tell you they were separated. We were very concerned that some children's separations would be permanent, because the parents would be removed from the United States through deportation.
Again, telling that part of the story, and then we've got other NBC News reporting here. Julia Ainsley, your colleague, talking about the new plans for the Trump administration might be preparing a list of countries where it can deport migrants if their home countries won't take them. So migrants would then be permanently displaced in countries where they don't know any of the people or the language, depending on language barriers. What does your reporting in this documentary tell us about what could come in the next administration?
What passed is very well prologue. What mass deportation is, Ari, is just family separation by another name. It is not ripping apart children from their parents at the border, but it is ripping apart parents from their children in the interior of the country, at their in their homes, in their schools, in their workplaces. And this is not a secret. You know, if I learned anything in covering this for the last 6+ years here, is to believe the Trump folks when they say they are going to do something. They told us they were going to separate children from their parents. They then denied it, and they went forward with it anyway. 5,500 children, according to the American Civil Liberties Union, ultimately were separated, tortured in the words of Physicians for Human Rights. You know, it was government-sanctioned child abuse, according to Colleen Kraft, the head of the American Academy of Pediatrics at the time. And I reported, as did you, during the conventions. I mean, I spoke to you from the floor of the Republican National Convention when they held up those mass deportation now signs, thousands of people inside that sports arena. What mass deportation is very well documented and very clear. And I do think, personally, and I think, you know, it's one of the most inspiring parts of this film. It's a tough film. It's a tough subject. But it also inspires me to watch this movie again and see what Errol did here, because people rose up. And people stopped this policy because it was universally looked at as morally objectionable.
Let me jump in on that, because we had Stephen Miller on this program during the general election, architect of some related policies, as you know, and he's returning as Deputy White House Chief of Staff. He made the argument that even if you think it was bad, you needed short-term pain, as they put it, to dissuade others from coming in, and you were going to save those people the hardship of coming all the way here and being shipped back. People have heard that argument. What do you say to that argument as someone who's followed the story?
I watched that interview maybe closer than I have watched any interview in the history of my time at MSNBC, and I'm so glad that you spoke to him for that. My response to it is deterrence has never worked. Deterrence has been the stated government policy when it comes to immigration for the better part of a generation. Bill Clinton had a policy called prevention through deterrence, literally said in the policy of the Border Patrol, they knew people were going to die coming into the United States as they built the first wave of walls. George W. Bush implemented the increase in the size of the Border Patrol when he created DHS. Barack Obama deported more people than any president in the history of the United States of America, which is why, like that, Donald Trump was able to separate 5,500 kids. If deterrence worked, all of those policies would have stopped people from the short-term pain of coming to this country. Yet people still come here because of desperate circumstances all over the world for a better life. If Stephen Miller was right and deterrence worked, then doing family separation, the most extreme deterrence-based immigration policy in the history of our nation, would have stopped people from coming during the Trump administration, and it very well did not.
Jacob Soboroff, thank you. You can see, the viewers can watch Separated Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern here on MSNBC. So that's why we're telling you about this now, so you can make that plan for this weekend. And when we come back, we mix it up as we look at music.